the queen of Geo, the queen herself approaches, and we must prepare. What's going on, YouTube? Glad you're here once again, this time at you again with some more Genshin Impact. And I want to talk about Navia, because she is coming, she's coming soon. And in my excitement, I think it's time to prepare for her arrival. And I'm gonna help you guys prepare too, because there's a lot of things that you can do right now to make sure that you are perfectly ready to make sure that Navia is ready to go and she has the teams and everything ready for her, all right?
Of Furina di Rosula.
So first, actually, I want to talk about the materials that you do want, right? Materials that you do want for Navia are actually pretty easy to get. This is actually one of the materials that you do want, the spring of the first dewdrop. This material right here, you want to, it's actually pretty easy to farm for, because there's one spot in Fontaine that you can go to where there's a whole bunch of them. And if you go there a few times, like if you start now, it's only going to take you about 4 rounds or so in order for you to get all the amounts that you do need. The place that I'm talking about is right this area right here, the southeastern part of Fontaine. Just go under the water, and from here, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of these just under the water, right? So you see them right here, and then as you go around, if you go around this circle right here in this area, you'll see there's more and more as you go around, right? So you'll be able to get those and go down to the lower level and then go down there, and you'll be able to get a whole bunch of those right there. Do that a couple times, you know, they respawn every 2 days. So you can do that a few times, and then by the end of the week, you'll end up having all the ones that you need. I believe you need about 168 of them. So that is perfectly enough. And then also too, there's, if let's say if you're seeing this right as you release and you want to get them all now, there's all other routes that you can go to. So who I do like to go to if I'm in a pinch like that and I'm not able to farm in advance when it comes to that, I like to go to these channels to give you good farming routes when it comes to that. So this is one that I can use right here. So, but as you can see, they all kind of agree that 89 is how much you can get from the world. And then from there, you can kind of calculate how many times you need to do that. Of course, the boss that you need to farm for her is going to be the Coppelia boss, the one that drops the light one right here. So you want to get that for her. Not the dark one, but the light one, it seems. That is the one that you do want to farm. So you're going to need 46 of these like you would with any other character. So yeah, so make sure you farm those up too, okay? Now, another thing you're going to need is these things right here, right? The xenochromatic crystals and the transoceanic pearls and chunks. Now, you're gonna need these right here. You're gonna need a good amount of them. In order to get these, all those innocent, cute animals that you see around the world, I hope you guys are slaughtering them like you should be, all right? Because that's what they're meant to do. Like, listen, I understand they're cute, I understand they look, I understand, like, oh, I like playing with the little seals and the animals. This is for Navia. You need to slaughter those things, all right? You need to destroy them, because you're gonna need a lot of these things. I need to get to slaughtering, actually. I've been slacking. When it comes to these, if you want to triple crown her and get her all the way up, you're gonna need about 129 of these suckers, all right? Get to going. Get to going. You need to kill more. You can't protect them. I need the materials. Die. I'm sorry. I have to do this. Ooh. This hurts me more than it hurts you. It's all for Navia. So anyway, you gotta do what you gotta do, okay? So you need to make sure you're farming those things up, so you need to kill as many as you can, all right? In turn for talent, she's gonna want the equity books. So you're gonna do that. I believe the same ones that New Roulette uses, if I'm not mistaken. So you wanna farm those up too. For those of you who don't know the talent requirements, the small green ones, you're gonna want 9 of them. For the blue ones, you're gonna want 63. And then for the gold, you're gonna want 114, I believe. So if you want to triple crown, all right? So if you're not triple crowning, then you don't need as many gold, but no matter what, you're always gonna want the green and the blue to go. And then, you know, you can always get enough to at least do 8 for the talents. Obviously, she's gonna really want to do her skill most, because that's where most of her damage comes from, and then her burst. And then, I mean, you don't want to neglect her normal attacks either, because her normal attacks are going to be doing some damage. So if she's somebody that you want to balance, but skill isn't prioritized the most, then burst. So, you know, you can kind of do the math and see how much you need from there, or you can just triple crown like me. because she's the best, of course. But those are what you need when it comes to materials for her in order to prepare.
Hey there!
Now, granted, her best artifact set is going to be the new set coming that they talked about in the live stream. Now, that's going to be her best set, but I don't necessarily advise you to farm for that set. Especially if you're somebody who's struggling to make sure you're getting all your other teammates built. Now, this is a hard one because I say that, but it's very situational. It's best to use, in my opinion, it's best to use the Marichose set on her only if you are pairing her with Furina. If you do not have Furina, if you don't plan on using her with Furina, then she can't use that set, and that set isn't going to work because she doesn't do anything with her HP in terms of her actual kit. It's Furina that allows that to be able to be used because of how much she's draining HP and how much your healer is going to heal your HP back up. That allows the set to work on anyone. But since she doesn't do that on her own, Furina is definitely needed in order for that set to work. And when she uses that set, it's going to perform better than, maybe so about the same, but slightly better than her main set, the one that's coming up. When it comes to farming the other set, it's a new set, so you're starting at 0. And 2, the other set isn't great. It's not good. It's not good to use. So yeah, you're kind of sitting there like, oh man, like this isn't a great domain to farm. So it's best to do the Marichose set if you have Furina. If you don't have Furina, then you don't have much of a choice there, or else you're going to be stuck putting on 2-piece sets, the 2-piece Geo, 2-piece attack, or 2-piece ER, or 2-piece the Golden Troop Elemental Skill. You can do those. You can do the 2-piece variations, but of course 4 pieces are always going to be better. So those are the options when it comes to that if you want to get that ready. For me, I got the Marichose set ready to go for her. I have Noelle on it right now. That's what I have prepared for her myself. I'm going to be using the Marichose set on her. I'm going to be farming the new set because, why not? And I'm going to see if I can get an even better set for her. But right now, based on what I'm seeing right here, when I have her weapon and when I have everything going, when I have the set up, she's gonna have about 89% crit rate and like 220 crit damage. So that's a good ratio to me. So I'm gonna stick with that for now, and then as we go, I'll try and see and get her on the other set. But if you want to do that when it comes to her sets, then there you go, right? And in terms of how you build her too on those sets, if you're not sure what main stats should be, it's a typical DPS build, right? You're gonna be wanting attack percent, crit rate, crit damage, ER on her. Granted, it's gonna take some testing, but I do believe, I'd say maybe about 130, depending on who you're gonna have with her when it comes to teammates. But if you have like a Zolney with Favonius or an Albedo that's doing a lot of particles, things like that, then I'd say, maybe doing 130% energy recharge should be good enough, 130, 140. So in terms of a build, I have my flower here, I have the feather here, which was gonna have the same main stat. But then for the main stat she's attack scaler, so you're gonna want an attack sands on her like any other DPS. You're gonna want a geo damage bonus, cup on her, and then you're gonna want, if you're using Marichose, most definitely you're gonna want a crit damage headpiece, right? Because you're getting 36% crit for free. Granted, do put on whatever you need stats for, but when you're using Marichose, at low chance you're gonna be using a crit rate a hat if you're building the character correctly. But whatever you need, but most likely it's gonna be crit damage. Now in terms of weapons, she's going to be a Claymore user. If you want to go for a main weapon, mainly because I'm going for the main weapon, mainly because it looks good. Of course. But in terms of actual feasibility, it's not that great of a weapon. It's going to be her best weapon, but it's not much better than the other options, right? Because in terms of how much damage it's going to do, the Serpent Spine is going to do perfectly fine, right? Serpent Spine is doing its job in terms of that, so you don't really have to worry about having to go for that 5-star weapon, pay a whole bunch, right? Granted, this is a battle pass weapon, so if you're not paying any money at all, you don't have access to this weapon, then you still have other options. There's other stuff you can do. If you have any other 5 stars, they all do work, some more than others, like Beacon of the Red Sea, or people like to call it Bacon. That's going to work really well. Red Horn Stone Thresher is going to be okay. It's going to give you a lot of crit damage, but it has a low base attack, but it still works fine. Wolf's Gravestone is going to be okay, but since chances you're going to be using it with Ben a lot of the time, it's not going to be that great. It's not going to be as great as Serpent Spine. Same thing when it comes to Unforge. Great. I'd say that Serpent Spine is going to be you're going to want to use over the other 5-star options, except for maybe a Beacon of the Red Sea. But also, this wasn't come from my own brain, but I actually saw, was it Jeff actually mentioned that Sacrificial Greatsword might work on her also. So, and it does make sense, so which is what I'm going to say, because it does make sense. She gets a lot of her damage from a skill, and it allows her to refresh her skill, and it's giving her the EO requirements that she's going to need. So I don't really see a problem with this working, right? This actually seems like it's going to be a fantastic choice. So if you don't have Serpent Spine and you don't have all these 5-star weapons, then the Sacrificial Greatsword might be good, and it actually might outperform some of these other options when it comes to 5-star weapons. So you do have options when it comes to that, right? You do have options when it comes to Claymores, when it comes to her, especially if the Sacrificial Greatsword is as good as it sounds. But again, I mean, it's a great weapon banner, so if you're not exactly losing if you decide that you're going to go for her weapon, because if you lose, then you get the Mist-Splitter, which is fantastic. But, you know, if you're looking in terms of performance solely, then the weapon isn't going to be that much better, okay? And also, don't forget that we also have the event 4-star sword, which is going to work also for her. It's going to give her the ER requirement, and it's also going to give some attack, so on and so forth. So, I mean, granted, you're going to need to do exploration in order to be able to max that sword out, but, you know, it's an option. You know, it's free. So, you can always use that too.
All right, cameras will start rolling as soon as the set is ready.
But now, it comes to teams. Teams are going to be a big thing for her, because I do believe that she is going to be the most flexible Geo DPS that we have, and possibly the most powerful one too, but you know, there we go. But she is a Geo DPS that does want to be paired with other elements that cause crystallize, right? So when I say other elements that cause crystallize, Anemo doesn't cause crystallize, and Dendro doesn't cause crystallize. So you don't really want to use Anemo or Dendro with her, you know, especially with Dendro. Sometimes it takes away the aura a lot of times of other elements, like you just have to put Electro and it does catalyze, then you're not able to crystallize anything at all. I mean, Anemo can power up the other elements that are on the team, so it's not a completely no-go, but you still typically want to stick to the crystallize, the elements that are able to crystallize. Her best friends, right? The characters that you want to pair her with the most are going to be characters like Furina, which allows her to use a Marichose set and allows her to do different crystallize and buff up her damage quite a bit. Furina is the best character in the game, in my opinion, but you know, that's a whole other topic. All right, so there's that. Then there's Bennett. She scales with attack, and she's gonna really, really love Bennett when it comes to buffing her attack. So Bennett is going to be a very good choice for her. Gonna be one of her best friends. We have Albedo. He's gonna be great because he's gonna give her, allow her to have Geo Resonance. He's gonna battery her, and he's able to do supplemental damage. Zhongli is going to be an equally good support. You don't want to use 3 Geo on her team. You want to use 2 Geo at most. So you want to do either or if it's Albedo or if it's Zhongli. But Zhongli is going to be able to shield her very well. He's going to be able to create crystallize with his burst and his pillar. He's going to further reduce Geo resistance after Geo Resonance is already doing that, so it's almost like she has a VV for a rare distant veneer effect towards Geo almost. Same is still the 40%. So he's going to be very, very good. I'm going to be using Albedo instead. Then you have characters like Shang Ling. I'm gonna be real. I've built a disdain for Shang Ling because, you know, she's everywhere. Everybody talks about Shang Ling. You know, I'm tired of Shang Ling, but you know what? She works. She's good. She's a very good option. She's an excellent option for her. So using Shang Ling is going to be very good when it comes to that. So you can do something like this right here where you don't have a second Geo. So you just want to make sure she has the proper energy requirements to do that. Or instead of Furina, you can do a Geo. But keep in mind, if you're using the Marichose set, you can't take out Furina. But if you don't use that Marichose set, then you can take out Furina, put in Zhongli, call it a day. Then you can always use other characters too that can cause crystallize, like for example Yai. You can use Yai right here, you know, put Furina back in, or you keep Zhongli in, whatever you want to do. You can use Yai. She's going to be able to work pretty well. Or if you don't have Yai, you can put in Fischl. Fischl is going to be another good option right there. And, you know, officials, since she, you know, produces so many particles, you know, maybe she can kind of help battery even though it's not electro particles, right? And then even for fun, you can even put in another DPS, because the thing about Navia is that she takes up so little field time that you can use her as a sub DPS. And if you're using her as a sub DPS, that means you still get to be able to put in a main DPS. So main DPSs that work well are main DPSs that don't take up that much field time and kind of share the field time with her. And somebody who's capable of doing that just came out recently is Nouvelette. You can put Nouvelette on here. That way the crystallized reactions help out Nouvelette, and the crystallized reactions help out Navia. And yeah, and then you can kind of go from there. You know, it's going to work. It's not going to be the best teams. I mean, because obviously Nouvelette has better teams that he can do. And as I've shown you, I feel like the other teams that Navia has will outperform. But if you're trying to have fun and something you want to do, that's the options you have. So yeah, but if you want to do quick swap stuff like that, like whether it's Kaching or things like that, then that's perfectly fine, good to go. You can always do that. But yeah, so those are different options when it comes to teams of which you can do when it comes to Navia too. So I mean, Navia has a lot of different avenues that she can go to. She's much more flexible than your average Geo DPS. So you have a lot of teams open to her. Listen guys, Navia is going to be phenomenal, right? I'm going to have so much fun with her. But as I say, as always, in terms of prioritizing who you should pull for and everything like that, for DPSs, it's whoever you prefer. Meta is very important in order to understand how characters work and how you want to use said characters that you want to use. But it's not that important when it comes to picking who you want to pull, right? Especially in terms of DPSs. When it comes to supports, things like that, then yeah, it matters if you want to be able to use the DPS that you like. But when it comes to DPSs in this game, it is completely preference. So if you're thinking, should I pull Ayaka, if I should pull Navia, so on and so forth, I'm telling you right now, whoever you prefer. Ayaka is stronger, she's going to be stronger, but do you like playing with Ayaka? Boom, they're both gonna beat Abyss. All right, they're both gonna be, I'm telling you right now, they're both gonna beat Abyss, okay? So whoever you pick, right? So in terms of that, so for the people who are sure and they're ready to go and they're like, I'm getting Navia no matter what, hopefully this works as a good way to prepare you or help you prepare for Navia's arrival, all right? I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys are informed by the different information that I did give you here. If you have any other questions, anything that I didn't cover, I mean, I didn't cover everything because I didn't talk about constellations, things like that, on purpose because, you know, that if you want to prep for constellations, well, you save up primos and then spend money. What else can I tell you to do, all right? But if you have any questions, definitely feel free to comment down below. I'll answer anything. Like the video if you like the content. Subscribe to the channel so you can get more content like this. With that under here, let you know.